Yeah, so this is the DB podcast. This is a dark podcast. When you gaze into the abyss gazes back into you, and whatever is within the darkness shines within the light. Read the screen because I'm not gonna repeat that shit. And so yeah, Stranger Things once again in the portals between the trees. So the reason why the Sasquatches and the Bigfoots, which are cousins, went into the trees and shit is because the trees were always portals between dimensions and realms within the planet through the mind. And when they were able to access a deeper state of consciousness, that's when they were able to, just like the little girl 11, they were able to kind of go in between those realms. But they were also able to activate those portals because they were able to kind of like use their deeper state of consciousness or receive assistance from deeper deeper state of consciousness, extraterrestrials, divine beings and shit that assisted them in being able to kind of access those dimensions and realms through those portals. Like basically they were like given that technology or like, guided to with certain meditative teachings for a theoretical example as to how they were able to kind of like, or what they did to tune themselves into that state of mind, which the mortals are trying to attain, but because they don't have the exact same genetics, Sasquatches and Bigfoots and apes are more advanced, or have acquired a deeper state of consciousness than mortals have, which is why mortals are still very violent, like more than their mortal counterparts. Because mortals is also including them, but like I'm referring to like, as in like in this podcast, this is referring to the mortals that are humans, not the mortals that are still primates and primitive, like the apes, the monkeys, you know, canines, which is where the dogmen originated from, which are what humans refer to as werewolves and shit. They also in some cases have been known to go through portals and shit, but they don't. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're like in the other side. They just kind of, a lot of them are here. They just are able to morph between a human form and the canine form. But anyways, and then the Sasquatches and Bigfoots were like, would be the other mortals that are still that are able to advance their consciousness, because like the difference between the humans and the Bigfoots in this episode would be, they were, being that they were advanced, they didn't have the same mortal what mortals refer to as a lifespan. So they could probably like hit like maybe 300, 600 with easy for in man-made years type shit. I mean, not easy, but like, yeah, okay. And in a lower state of consciousness, they probably like 200, 300, which is not a lot in man-made years. Not to them, but definitely not in general, because the gods and goddesses well surpassed that. So that would be just normal for them to kind of be able to do that. And being in a lower state of consciousness puts you in a state of mind in which it's like your self recklessness and manipulative behavior. It just bounces back into the mind, and kind of, it makes the vessel, aka what mortals refer to as their body, inhospitable, which is why they don't hit like 100, 200 type shit. Like you ain't never seen no white tea person like, oh, like straight up like gainer from 100 to 200. If they are like that, they're not mobile. Whereas the Sasquatches and Bigfoots are like that. It's not even well known for them to be like reaching 100, 200 type shit. And that's only of recently, because they've had a very pampered upbringing due to segregation, Jim Crow and shit, and fucking reclassification acts, attempted poaching of the gods and goddesses and stuff. Like, they were just they just had it easier because than they usually would, because they were using other people to do what they would have done for themselves, or would have ended up, we just would have done for themselves, period, because nobody's gonna help you do take care of yourself type shit. Like, that's your responsibility. But because they weren't taking care of themselves, now you see you have first generations that are like 100 and 200, but like they don't want to be alive. So it's like that. Unlike the Sasquatches and shit and the Bigfoots, they'll be moving around for a while before they're artificial or cloned, and synthetic forms are decayed, as Morals would put it. So yeah, the way that's the natural portals. Within that one can cross from the third to the fourth dimension with what Mortals refer to as a physical form, which is just a crystalline form, or phase of matter, crystallized phase of matter. Yeah, that's what it's truly called. A crystalline sound, a crystalline form. So when sound is basically phases and is condensed into matter, it forms into a crystal. So that's not relevant right yet, but just be knowing that shit type shit. Okay, cool. So a natural form of portal, and that's the portals between the trees. But like that, if you activate a portal, but it's not between the tree, and it's just like it's in between, but it's still activated through ley lines and shit, which are meridian points and stuff like that. And you find a strong enough, like in Stranger Things, they refer to it as a strong enough magnetic, point in which portals can be easily activated. Then how mortals were able to do that, which after being hijacked and possessed, and body jumpers running through their shit, the reason why they were able to use these mortals to do that is because they basically, you could say they stole it, but they're basically given that technology by the fallen ones. The fallen ones gave them that technology, or showed them how to do it type shit. Because I don't believe I don't believe any divine God would teach these motherfuckers how to do this shit. So they use technology, mechanical shit, material shit, to create something called a hydraulic accelerator. So a hydraulic accelerator is what basically, if you have ever seen the cinema like Flash, they have a scene where they use a particle accelerator. That's the same thing. A hydraulic accelerator is basically the same thing as a particle accelerator, and they basically condense matter, but also disperse it. So when you disperse matter at what Morris referred to as a deeper or a higher speed, and velocity and shit like that. So the quicker the portal, the face of matter is in motion, but as well as as the phase of matter disperses, it is able to kind of at very fast pace, and high speed, as Mortals would put it, right? What happens is the portals begin to form, because when you go from a liquid state of matter, as Mortals put it, and you reach a gas state, then you have a plasmic state. That plasmic state is where the portals begin to kind of activate, which is why all portals that you've ever seen in the cinema look liquidy and shit. They look fluid, but they look like a fluid, but they're not liquid. But it's not liquid. But the reason why it's called hydraulic accelerator is because hydrogen is basically is a form of plasmic energy. So electricity. So when electricity and liquid mix together, and that would be more so what plasma kind of is at a higher, in a deeper dimension. Okay, so just focus on the next episode.